Hey everyone, welcome back to Storytime Central, and today, I have a story that will absolutely blow your mind. Before we begin, let me ask you this: what would you do if you found evidence that your wife was cheating on you? Would you confront her immediately? Would you walk away, or would you plan the perfect revenge? Well, today's story is about a man who chose option 3, and trust me, you won't believe what he did, so make sure you stick around till the end, because this story has a twist that you definitely don't want to miss. My name is David Patterson, and I never imagined I would be sharing this story with anyone. But after everything that happened, I feel like I need to get it off my chest. Maybe it will help someone else who's going through something similar, or maybe it will just serve as a warning about what can happen when you let anger and betrayal cloud your judgment. Either way, here it is, the complete, unfiltered truth about how my marriage ended and what I did in response. It all started on what seemed like a completely normal Thursday evening. I had been married to my wife, Jennifer, for 7 wonderful years, or at least that's what I thought at the time. We had met at a mutual friend's party when we were both in our late 20s, and it was honestly love at first sight. She was beautiful, intelligent, funny, and we just clicked immediately. We dated for about a year before I proposed, and she said yes without any hesitation. Our wedding was perfect, surrounded by friends and family, and I genuinely believed I had found my soulmate, the person I would spend the rest of my life with. Growing old together, the first few years of our marriage were absolutely amazing. We bought a house together in a nice suburban neighborhood, adopted a dog named Max, and settled into a comfortable routine. We both had good careers. I worked in software development, and she was a marketing manager at a mid-sized company. We traveled together, took cooking classes together, and genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Sure, we had our occasional disagreements, like any couple, but nothing serious. Nothing that ever made me question our relationship or her commitment to me. I trusted her completely, and I thought she trusted me the same way. But as they say, ignorance is bliss, and I was living in a bubble of ignorance that was about to burst in the most spectacular and painful way possible. That Thursday evening, I had left work early because I had wrapped up a major project ahead of schedule. My boss was happy, my team was happy, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. I decided to surprise Jennifer by coming home early, thinking maybe we could order some takeout, watch a movie, and just enjoy a relaxing evening together. It had been a while since we had quality time, just the two of us, because both of our work schedules had been crazy. When I pulled into our driveway around 5:30 in the evening, I noticed that Jennifer's car was already there, which was unusual because she normally didn't get home until at least 6:30 or 7. I figured maybe she had also left work early, or perhaps she wasn't feeling well and had come home to rest. I grabbed my briefcase from the passenger seat and headed toward the front door, feeling excited about the prospect of spending the evening with my wife. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, calling out Jennifer's name, but there was no response. The house was quiet, almost eerily, so I set my briefcase down by the door and took off my shoes, figuring she might be upstairs taking a nap, or maybe she was in the shower. I walked into the kitchen to grab a bottle of water from the fridge, and that's when I noticed her phone sitting on the counter, which was odd because Jennifer was practically attached to her phone at all times. She never went anywhere without it. I didn't think much of it at first. I just assumed she had forgotten it downstairs when she went up to take a shower or whatever she was doing. But then her phone screen lit up with a notification, and I couldn't help but glance at it. What I saw made my blood run cold. It was a text message from someone saved in her phone as Marcus Trainer, and the preview of the message read, "Can't wait to see you again tonight. Last time was incredible," with a heart emoji. My heart started pounding in my chest, and I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I stood there, staring at her phone, trying to process what I had just read. Who was Marcus Trainer, and what did he mean by last time was incredible? My hands were shaking as I picked up her phone, and without even thinking about it, I swiped to unlock it. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I knew her passcode because we had always been open about that kind of thing. We trusted each other, or so I thought. Once I unlocked her phone, I went straight to her messages. With this Marcus person and what I found, there absolutely destroyed me. There were months worth of flirty texts, intimate photos, and detailed conversations about when and where they would meet up. It was clear that Jennifer had been having a full-blown affair with this guy for at least 6 months, maybe longer. I scrolled through message after message, feeling more sick to my stomach with each passing second. The messages revealed that Marcus was her personal trainer at the gym she had started going to about 8 months earlier. Apparently, what had started as just workout sessions had quickly turned into something much more physical. They had been meeting up at his apartment after her gym sessions and sometimes during her lunch breaks. The messages were explicit, graphic, and left absolutely no room for doubt about what was going on between them. I felt like my entire world was crashing down around me. The woman I had loved and trusted for 7 years had been lying to me for months, carrying on an affair right under my nose, and I had been completely oblivious to it all. I thought about all the times she had told me she was going to the gym or working late or meeting up with friends, and now I realized those were probably all lies, covering up her secret meetings with Marcus. I was standing there in the kitchen holding her phone, with tears streaming down my face, when I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. I quickly locked her phone and set it back down on the counter exactly where I had found it, and wiped my eyes, trying to compose myself. Jennifer appeared in the doorway wearing her bathrobe with her hair wrapped in a towel, clearly having just gotten out of the shower. She looked surprised to see me and asked what I was doing home so early. I managed to force a smile and told her I had finished my project early and wanted to spend some time with her. She smiled back and said that was sweet and that she would get dressed and we could order dinner. I nodded and watched as she picked up her phone from the counter and headed back upstairs, completely unaware that I had just discovered her secret. As soon as she was gone, I collapsed into one of the kitchen chairs, feeling like I couldn't breathe. My mind was racing with a million different thoughts and emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness, confusion, disbelief. It was all too much to process. I wanted to run upstairs and confront her immediately, to demand answers, to ask her how she could do this to me, to us, but something stopped me. Instead of confronting her right away, I decided I needed more concrete evidence. I needed to catch her in the act, so to speak. So I pulled out my own phone and started doing some investigating. I looked up the gym where she claimed to work out, and sure enough, there was a personal trainer named Marcus working there. His photo on the gym's website matched a profile picture I had seen in her text messages. He was a good-looking guy, probably in his early 30s, muscular with a confident smile, the kind of guy who probably had no trouble attracting women. Over the next few days, I played the role of the oblivious husband perfectly. I acted completely normal around Jennifer, going to work, coming home, having dinner, watching TV, and going to bed like nothing was wrong. But inside, I was dying. I was constantly checking her phone whenever she left it unattended, reading through her messages with Marcus, and torturing myself with the details of their affair. I knew I should probably just confront her and end the marriage, but part of me wanted to catch them together, to have undeniable proof of what she was doing. Then one evening, about a week after I had first discovered the affair, Jennifer told me she was going to the gym for a late workout session. She said she would probably be gone for about 2 hours. I told her to have a good workout and kissed her goodbye, playing the part of the loving husband, even though inside I was seething with anger. As soon as she left, I decided to follow her. I waited a few minutes, then got in my car and drove toward the gym, but I had a feeling she wasn't actually going there. And I was right. Instead of turning toward the gym, she drove in the opposite direction, toward a residential neighborhood. I followed her from a safe distance, making sure she wouldn't noticed me and watched as she pulled into the driveway of a nice apartment complex. She got out of her car, grabbed her gym bag from the back seat and walked toward one of the apartment buildings. I sat in my car, about half a block away, watching and waiting. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might explode. I knew what was happening. I knew she was going to see Marcus, but part of me still hoped I was wrong, that there was some innocent explanation for all of this. I waited for about 20 minutes, debating whether or not I should go knock on the door and confront them, but before I could make a decision, I saw something that made my blood boil. Jennifer appeared on a second-floor balcony with a man who I assumed was Marcus. They were laughing, and he had his arms wrapped around her waist. They kissed deeply and passionately, and then they went back inside, closing the sliding glass door behind them. That was all the proof I needed. I had seen it with my own eyes. My wife was cheating on me, and she didn't even have the decency to be discreet about it. I sat there in my car for what felt like hours, but was probably only about 30 minutes, trying to figure out what to do. Should I go up there and confront them? Should I wait until she came home? Should I just file for divorce and be done with it? But then something shifted inside me. Instead of feeling sad or defeated, I started to feel angry, really angry. I didn't want to just roll over and accept this. I wanted them both to feel some of the pain and humiliation that I was feeling. I wanted revenge. I drove home and spent the rest of the evening plotting. When Jennifer came home about 2 hours later, claiming she'd had a great workout, I just smiled and asked her how it went. She went on and on about her training session, completely oblivious to the fact that I knew exactly where she had been and what she had been doing. The next day, I went to Jennifer's car while she was at work. I knew she kept her gym bag in the back seat, so I decided to do a little investigating. I opened the bag and found the usual things: workout clothes, a water bottle, some protein bars, and then I found something that made my blood boil even more. It was a box of condoms, and it wasn't sealed. Several were missing. Now, this might not seem like a big deal to some people, but for me it was huge. Jennifer and I hadn't used condoms in years. She was on birth control, and we had both been tested for everything when we first got together, so there was absolutely no reason for her to have condoms, unless she was using them with someone else. It was just more proof of her betrayal, and it made me even more determined to follow through with my plan for revenge. I took the box of condoms out of her gym bag and brought it inside. I sat at the kitchen table staring at it for a long time, trying to decide what to do, and then an idea came to me. It was crazy, dangerous, and probably illegal, but in that moment I didn't care. I wanted Marcus to suffer consequences for sleeping with my wife. I went to a sporting goods store and purchased a small canister of pepper spray, the kind that's legal to carry for self-defense. Then I went home and very carefully opened one of the remaining condoms. In the box, I emptied out the lubricant and filled it with pepper spray, being extremely careful not to get any on myself or the outside of the packaging. Then I resealed it as carefully as I could, making it look like it had never been opened. I placed the tampered condom back in the box along with the others, and then put the box exactly where I had found it, in Jennifer's gym bag. I knew what I was doing was wrong on so many levels, but I was so consumed with anger and hurt that I couldn't think straight. I just wanted Marcus to experience some kind of consequence for his actions, even if it meant doing something extreme. The next few days were absolute torture. I kept waiting for something to happen, waiting for some sign that my trap had worked, but everything seemed normal. Jennifer continued her routine, going to work, going to the gym, coming home, and acting like the perfect wife. I started to doubt whether my plan would even work, or if maybe she had noticed something was off about the condom and thrown it away. Then, exactly 1 week after I had planted my trap, everything came crashing down. I was at work in the middle of a meeting when my phone started buzzing with calls from an unknown number. I ignored the first few calls, but whoever it was kept calling back, so I finally excused myself from the meeting and answered The voice on the other end was a man, and he sounded like he was in incredible pain. He was gasping and crying and asking to speak to Jennifer. I asked who he was and what this was about, and he said his name was Marcus and that there had been a terrible accident. He said he was at the emergency room and he needed Jennifer to come immediately. My heart was pounding as I listened to him describe what had happened. Apparently, he and Jennifer had been together at his apartment, and they had been intimate when suddenly he started experiencing an intense burning sensation that quickly became unbearable. He said it felt like his entire body was on fire, and Jennifer had called an ambulance and they had rushed him to the hospital. He kept asking me if I could get Jennifer on the phone because she wasn't answering her cell and the hospital needed her information. Since she had been with him, I told him I would try to reach her, and then I hung up the phone. My hands were shaking and I felt like I was going to be sick. My plan had worked, but now I was faced with the reality of what I had done. I tried calling Jennifer, but her phone went straight to voicemail, so I sent her a text telling her it was an emergency and to call me right away. About 20 minutes later, she called me back sounding worried, asking what was wrong. I told her that someone named Marcus had called me from the hospital and that he had been in some kind of accident. There was a long pause on the other end of the line, and then Jennifer started crying. She asked me how I knew about Marcus, and I told her that he had called my phone looking for her. She immediately became defensive, saying that he was just her personal trainer and that she didn't understand why he would call me. I told her that he had said they were together when the accident happened and that he needed her at the hospital. Jennifer went silent, and then she just hung up the phone on me. I sat there at my desk, feeling a mixture of emotions. I felt vindicated because my suspicions had been confirmed. She was definitely having an affair with Marcus, but I also felt guilty and scared because I had potentially seriously injured someone. What if he had permanent damage? What if there were legal consequences for what I had done? I left work early and drove home. When I got there, Jennifer's car was already in the driveway. I walked inside and found her sitting on the couch with her head in her hands, crying. When she saw me, she immediately started apologizing, saying she was so sorry and that she never meant for any of this to happen. She confessed that she had been having an affair with Marcus for several months, and that she didn't know how it had gotten so out of control. I asked her what happened at the hospital, and she said that Marcus had suffered severe chemical burns in a very sensitive area and that the doctors were treating him, but they didn't understand how it had happened. She said Marcus claimed that they had been using protection and that everything seemed normal at first, but then suddenly he was in excruciating pain. I played dumb, asking her if the doctors had any theories about what could have caused it, and she said they thought maybe the condom had been contaminated with something, but they weren't sure. She said Marcus was in a lot of pain and would probably need ongoing treatment, and that she felt terrible about what had happened to him. Part of me wanted to come clean right then and there, to tell her that I was the one responsible for what happened to Marcus, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Instead, I asked her if she wanted a divorce, and she said she didn't know, that she was confused and didn't know what she wanted anymore. I told her that I couldn't stay in a marriage with someone who had betrayed me so completely, and that I thought we should separate. Over the next few weeks, Jennifer moved out of our house and into a temporary apartment. We agreed to start divorce proceedings and to split everything as fairly as possible. During that time, I kept tabs on Marcus through social media and mutual acquaintances. Apparently, he had suffered second and third degree burns and had to undergo several painful treatments. The doctors and police had investigated the incident, trying to figure out what had caused it, but they eventually ruled it as some kind of freak accident, possibly due to a contaminated product. I never told anyone what I had done, not Jennifer, not my friends, not even my therapist. I carried the guilt and the secret with me every single day, wondering if I had done the right thing or if I had gone too far. I knew that what I did was wrong, that I had potentially ruined someone's life, but I also couldn't help feeling like Marcus had gotten what he deserved for sleeping with a married woman. The divorce was finalized about 6 months after the incident. Jennifer tried to reconcile with Marcus after everything happened, but apparently he wanted nothing to do with her. He blamed her for what happened, claiming that she must have done something to the condom, even though she had no idea what he was talking about. Their relationship fell apart, and last I heard, Jennifer was single and had moved to a different state to start fresh. As for me, I'm still dealing with the aftermath of everything that happened. I've been in therapy, trying to work through my anger and trust issues, and I've started dating again, though very cautiously. I don't think I'll ever be able to fully trust someone the way I trusted Jennifer, and I certainly don't think I'll ever tell anyone about what I did. Looking back on everything, I can see now that what I did was extreme and probably unforgivable. I let my anger and hurt drive me to do something terrible, something that could have had even worse consequences than it did. If I could go back and do things differently, I would have simply confronted Jennifer about the affair, filed for divorce, and moved on with my life instead of seeking revenge. But I can't change the past. All I can do is try to learn from my mistakes and be a better person. Going forward, I share this story, not because I'm proud of what I did, but because I think it's important for people to understand how betrayal can push someone to do things they never thought they were capable of. If you're going through something similar, please don't make the same mistakes I did. Seek help, talk to someone, and find healthy ways to process your emotions, because revenge might feel satisfying in the moment, but it will haunt you for the rest of your life. So that's my story, the complete unfiltered truth about what I did when I discovered my wife was cheating on me. I know some of you will judge me harshly for what I did, and honestly, I deserve it, but I hope that by sharing this story I can help someone else avoid making the same mistakes I did. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. Please hit that like button if you found this story interesting, or if you learned something from my mistakes, and don't forget to subscribe to Storytime Central for more real-life stories just like this one. Also drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Would you have done the same thing in my situation, or would you have handled it differently? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts, and remember, if you're going through something similar, please seek help and don't let anger drive you to do something you'll regret. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next story. Take care, everyone.